Welcome everyone to today's workshop. This workshop will be hosted by our Director of International Sales, Dr. Melissa Cow.
Hi, everyone. Welcome again. So today, this webinar, we're going to talk about in-store analytics for retail stores. This is part of a series of a retail workshop. So we have done, I think, one or two workshop before. So I encourage you to have a look at that one as well, because that one we have talked more about the technology, the hardware. So I won't repeat it here. So today we will focus on the in-store analytic on there. Now, this is the moment to do in-store analytic. Now, previously we didn't heavily promote it because previously probably only 1% of retailer will install. But now about 20–30%, they're going to do it in the next 2 years because it's now easier to get, it's reasonable to have it on, and it's quick to set up. It is an enablement now. So what data you can get and at what cost you can get them. So this is what we're going to discuss about it. And we're going to briefly discuss about the AI simulation as well. So every shopper is a sample in here, and cumulatively the AI can learn. So we have touched about the RFI previously when retailers are in an exploration stage. In that webinar, we talk about a high-level overview of what are the vendor capabilities and what are solutions out there in the market, so that it will help you define your short-term and long-term goal in this route. Now, we have temporarily skipping the RFP, RFQ side because of a lot of demand. They're wanting to understand what the AI, what is customer journey AI analytics, what's available now. So we're going to discuss this. Then we'll go back to RFP, RFQ, so that it will give a more holistic overview of then for the retailers to decide what they want to put into the RFQ, RFP and RFQ. So today we're going to focus more on the insight into the next generation in-store analytics, like shopper classification to, the path and AI simulation and all that, to give the full customer journey from their journey from home to your store to sales. So this is ideal for those who are ready to go beyond the basic footfall counting at the entrance. In the future webinar, we're going to talk a little bit more about more details about how to turn those in-store data into your AI models. And then using the AI, then you can then do a lot more with the simulation and predictive analytics. Then once we discuss this, and we're going to go more in details about how do you use these predictive actions from the customer behavior data to actually drive your real-time actionable plan. Yeah. So if I show you this video, how are we doing the staff shopper interaction showcase? So we have already put a privacy mask on the video, and this privacy masking is at source, at edge, at the device itself. So it's all compliant with any GDPR, any privacy law in different countries. So in here, you can see those who are looking, those who are touching, and those that are engaging with the staff, how many staff you have there. The timer here is how long the staff is engaging with the customer, so forth. And in here, likewise, you could also see who are lurking, and if staff are engaging with them, then you see someone coming in and they straight away talk to the staff, and then the staff probably pointing them to something, and then they go and look at it on there. And you can see how long the staff have to engage with them and talk with them, and then let them browse on their own. So that here as well, you are seeing a customer talking to a staff. There's another customer talking to the staff, and the others are showrooming, browsing. So that, yeah. So all this data will be collected and learned, and the foundation of it is how you get this. You need accurate data point. So this accuracy is very important. Now, sales conversion, when retailer first started many years ago, they've started putting people counter at the entrance so that they know how many people come in and how many then buy. So that's a very important sales conversion KPI that they're using to measure their business. However, sales conversion alone, it still remains a black box because they know how many enter, they know how many buy, but in the middle, they're blind. So what actually happened inside their store, the journey from entering to buying is unknown. So in-store analytics is now a natural extension to footfall because of course you need to have your footfall counting first, then you need to talk about your in-store analytic. So because sales conversion ratio alone, it offers very little actionable insight. Yes, you know, my sales conversion is 20%. Then what else? Do I just tell my staff to work harder and I reward them for a higher conversion, but the footfall quality is unknown. So you can't tell which visits are high value. So um, so you have 100 people coming in here. Are they high quality one or are they just window shopping? Maybe you have got in a area that those are not your target audience. They do come in because you have a lot of passerby outside. They come in and they're browsing, but they're not your target audience and hence they're not converting. So the footfall quality is unknown. Your shopper engagement is you not know. You don't know how engaged they are. You might have 500 people come in. How, what are the product they look at, they touch, and also your staff shopper interaction are invisible. So you don't know if your staff is actually engaged. What is the staff serving effort? Yeah. So you need these three pillars to really give you the store to say, okay, what should I work on? Yeah. So this is where in-store analytics can give you. Now I'm going to briefly talk about the evolution of people counting technology to see why in-store analytics now comes as standard in the future. We all know about first generation, those beam counters, they're not very accurate and they're not network. Then you go on to the second generation where people starting using thermal. It's far more accurate than beam counter because it's at the ceiling, so you have no occlusion with two people going together. But it does have limitation on where it could put on, and also it based on heat source. So if you have a heater at the entrance or you have sunlight, then it kind of like swamp it out. So the accuracy was also quite a bit limited. Then you move on to the third generation where they are 3D stereo vision. So it becomes much more accurate and better coverage. You can go from up to 4 meter or even higher with our wider lens device. And we also have for FootfallCam, we do have additional technology, the Wi-Fi on board, so that we can also count outside traffic and so forth. Then now move on to the fourth generation where FootfallCam now have the Pro 2 2025. So accuracy has gone up even further. It has got much wider coverage now. So one device we can cover, we have 3 times the coverage of our competitor or the previous generation. Yeah, and it also has, because of the powerful chipset, we have AI on board as well as Bluetooth and Wi-Fi counting. And so these not only just give you all the metrics like outside traffic, dwell time, we also give like age and gender all into the one device. Now then fifth generation is where because now our 3D Pro 2 2025 can have sister device, our Pro 1, so that it then expand your coverage from just at the entrance to in-store. So you can have proper in-store analytics and that. So it's extended wide coverage. You can have the shopper path tracking, customer engagement and AI simulations. Yeah. So now what it allows you now is to measure every step, your customer touch points, all of that. This is a holy grail because we can then go from where customer leave or where the shopper leave, how they travel to the shopping area, in what weather they travel to your shopping area, when they enter, what type of customer are entering your store, What do they touch? Do they how long they spend in front of their product, or they're just passing by, and which product they touch? Are they being served to purchase? So this whole, so we're not only measuring numbers, but we're measuring level of engagement. So you can then lock down where is the failure point, which part you need to work more to improve your business, to increase the sales. So it's not only just the sales conversion that you are tackling. So you can now then tackle each conversion stage, like your catchment population, then convert to your outside traffic, then convert to your footfall, those that are coming in. So each conversion stage, you can tackle them, because some are sales potential, some are sales opportunity, then some are sales conversion. So finally, you can turn this into numbers, all of these stages. Now, when you have numbers, then you can turn into actionable plan. So, so that whatever you do there, does it yield a positive change? Because whenever you have, then when you look at this, a more holistic view, then you can have you can have more targeted actionable plan. And those plan, if you have done it, if you execute it, does it yield a positive change in the different steps as well? Yeah. So this is what you're trying to achieve. So now, what is in-store analytic? What can it give you? It can tell you who are the shoppers that come into your store, their age, their gender, are they in what kind of group size they come in? Is it a family group size or a friends group size? What are the shoppers interested in? So your heat map, your shopper engagement, what product they engage with, and where did the shopper go? So if they have gone look at this product, did they go and touch the other product? Like what kind of path they go inside your shop? And did the staff interact with your shopper? Then what did they purchase in the end after all this interaction? And then how should I place my product? This is an AI simulation. When you have all this information, then how do you improve your store? So why now? Why doing in-store analytic now? Why now is the moment? Yeah. So a few important factor. One is because the price point is right. We have achieved the price point. The price point has been achieved because you can now buy one Pro 2 at the entrance and then use sister device, up to 3 of them, or if you already have CCTV, you can even use your CCTV device on there. So and then this will give you full coverage of your whole store, and at a very low cost. So we will discuss that as well later. Second, accuracy has been achieved because with AI re-identification, we can now track only shoppers and exclude the staff activity. Because if you can't, your heat map is just going to be polluted by your own staff activity, because your staff is going to be moving around in the store. So without a staff exclusion with the AI, then that's what you're going to get. So, and also with the re-identification, where if you only have partial camera coverage, because you are then now able not to have blanket covering your whole full store. Yeah. Ideally, if you have, then it's fine. But of course, that's cost. Even if that, so if you have a customer stepping out of the camera view and then later step into view of another camera, we can track it as one customer. Yeah, because of the re-identification. We discussed about re-identification in the previous webinar. And so, and also we can capture unique visitor if they step up and come back again. The third thing is data point has been achieved, because now you can have all these, because if you have not enough data point, you can't really train your AI model. So now you have your shopper behavior. So you have the AI understanding of that, your shopper behavior. You can unlock 10 more different metrics through video analytics and path tracking. You can understand your engagement zone, your level of engagement, and the full shopper journey as well. So that it has to have all these 3 being achieved. So that's why at the moment it's now. So 1/10 of a cost and with 10 times of the coverage, because we are already very competitively priced. A lot of our customers know that. We're slightly lower than our high-end device comparing. We can't compare with the cheaper product, but comparing with all the high-end device, we are slightly cheaper. So we are very competitive. But now with a very wide fisheye coverage, we have a 3 times the coverage of our competitor. So that brings your project price down. And the fact that we can have sister device, which is at a fraction of the cost, as well as the CCTV you already have, then that even bring those price down further. So for example, here we have a video, if you can see, on there. So at a 4-meter high, most people counter cover about 250 to 300 square feet. So like all the different brands. So these are the coverage around there. So we probably have the widest coverage among these brands. But FootfallCam, our standard Pro 2 already can cover about 345 square feet. The new Pro 2 actually can cover just under 800 square feet. So it's very wide coverage, 3 times the coverage of our competitor. And now if you then add on the sister device, you can cover 2,500 square feet at the price of one device from our competitor is about $950. Yeah, and it's also powered by 1,000 times strong chipset so that it can unlock the full in-store analytics on there. Now, re-ID. So re-ID, re-identification, this is also GDPR compliant because there's no personal information that we're getting. We're not using facial recognition. We are doing, we explained a little bit more in the previous webinar, we're doing skeleton tracking, the gait, how they move, and color of the clothes, like the hairstyle and all this. We're using all this information about a person to re-ID them. So we can do a lot of things from staff tracking without accessories. So you don't need to wear a big name tag anymore or a reflective strip or lanyard or anything. So we can recognize staff by the attire, if you have uniform, if not by the behavior, because then they might be the one who actually gone behind the till or they have been inside the store for hours. So those would have been staff. So we reduce the reliance on wearing wearables, and we can do the full path tracking, even if they move out and back in. So we know that that's the same customer. You have unique customer count and also the full path. Yeah. And staff shopper interaction, we can do that. And of course, the queue time, because sometimes people step out of the queue and then come back again. And if we don't have the re-ID, you might then mistaken it as a new customer. But now you can do that. So let's have a look at this more. So for example, here also age and gender. So we know that's a male, which is an adult or probably a young adult, that's a teenager, female, and passerby outside, because based on the behavior from passerby, they change to to customer, and then you have the staff as well. So you can differentiate all this. So re-ID is very important. Then the next one. So shopper behavior. So what can we now do with shopper behavior? So we now understand 10 more metrics because the chipset is very powerful now. So and so it can allow very high level of AI analytic power. So we can understand the full path track. We can understand different behavior. So are they paying? So even without your integration with your sales, we can know how many people go to the checkout and if they're actually paying or if they're making an inquiry. Of course, browsing, showrooming, we have all this. We have all this metric documentation here. So you can come here so you can look at the different metrics on there, from the footfall to group size to engagement level, and so forth. Yeah, so you can have a brief look up in there. So we have 10 times more metrics on there. So now some of the data set, of course, would take a while to learn before they become useful. So maybe 3 months. Of course, the longer you have it, the better, the more accurate. But this is the deal with AI learning. You do have to train them. Yeah. Now, so what are the requirements required? So we have 2 different types. So you can have a combination of Pro 2 and Pro 1, or with your existing CCTV. And if you have a lot of CCTV, then you can use the Centroid, because one Centroid can analyze up to 16 of your CCTV camera. So how do you choose them? So come and talk to us and we will, with your floor plan, we will then plan with you, no obligation, of course. But briefly, is more like if you're not going to have CCTV, or you have CCTV, but you rather have it separate, you don't want to use the CCTV. The other thing is also maybe your CCTV angle is not ideal, you're not pointing to the place you want to analyze, then you will use the Pro 2 and Pro 1 combination. Yeah, so, and because with the Pro 1 and Pro 2, we install it on the ceiling, so there's no occlusion. You actually have a top-down view and you can see everyone. So there's minimal disruption with your CCTV system, so you can maintain separate your security setup. It's a very cost-effective coverage as well because of the wide coverage is as wide probably as your CCTV coverage, and you do get all the comprehensive analytics, so all the full store shopper path. Now then, for example, if you are going to for example, if you have an old CCTV, or you're going to upgrade your CCTV anyway, or you're opening a new store and you haven't installed a CCTV, then you might as well go with the Centroid, because Centroid in itself is also a NVR. You can record. It serves as a CCTV function, as an NVR function. Then in that way, you don't have to buy your CCTV system and then having a people counting system. You can have it all in one. Yeah. So or you already have existing CCTV, you have a lot of them, and you just want to turn those into data as well. So then you can integrate. These become very, very popular because you already have system in place, is an existing infrastructure. Actually, is minimal disruption to it as well, because we just stream those video into here to analyze. And this is edge. This DVR is going to sit in your store, so all the analysis is there. It doesn't take up much bandwidth because it doesn't go outside. All the analytics, only the data is then being uploaded to the server. So unlike our other competitor, the CCTV competitor, our Centroid can actually exclude your staff. We can so that it prevent data pollution with your other employee movement, and we have a lot more because we can train our local AI model. We actually have a workspace for you to train. So unlike other CCTV system where they actually also have AI analytics, they are more a global generic model. So, but our one, I will show you later with a workspace how you can annotate your own and train your own local customized model on there. This is very important because your shopper behavior, your store, your business behavior is very different from the other. So a generic AI model is not going to work for you. Yeah. So it does create all those enhanced shopper insight. So briefly on the technology comparison, just so that you can have an idea which one to choose for your specific requirement. Now, Centroid, because it doesn't have Wi-Fi. Now, our Pro 2 has on board the Wi-Fi and BLE and AI as well. Centroid is AI, so therefore we can't measure outside traffic. Unless, of course, if you have a camera that is pointing towards the outside, or like just now where you actually cover physically, you can actually view the path outside as well. Then you can count the outside traffic. But otherwise, all the AI analytics like unique visitor, staff exclusion without accessories, we can do both. Visit duration, bounce rate, if customer come in and then go out again within a certain time, so they're bounce. Group counting, children filter, age and gender, whether they're engaged, how long they're engaged with. So the other CCTV could also probably give you this. And if you install your normal people counter inside of your store, you can probably also get this engagement. However, with the heat map, they can also do heat map, but not excluding stuff. Because if they do not have the staff exclusion based on their behavior, then your heat map will be everyone in the store. Yeah, and we can then, because of that, if you can't exclude staff, then you wouldn't have the staff shopper. But because we can exclude staff, then we have the staff shopper interaction and the shopper type categorization. So we also do queue counting. So the total cost, we are assuming that you need all the devices to install at a mounting height of 4 meters for an area of 2,500 square feet. Yeah, if your store, this is probably a standard size store, then the cost of a Centroid is around 1,200 from there. Pro 2 with 3 Pro 1, combine the combo of 4 devices is 950. That's probably the same price of one of our competitor People Counter. But for this area, according to their coverage, then they will need about 9 or 10 devices for that space, for that size. So assuming the price, then that's about the price you would need. That's why it's a bit uh, not so attractive in the previous years to do in-store analytics, because the price is a little bit high. Yeah. So that now, so what are we getting? So I'm going to go through this. Now, the next webinar, we will explain a little bit more clearer how AI is being used. In this webinar, I will focus more on the data points that you're collecting, because you need these data points before you can then go and train your AI model. So yeah, so today we're going to talk about more specifically on the data point. We have a suite of reporting structure. So we're going to do that. So who comes into your store, your shopper demographic analytics. So for example, in here, then you can see your gender split, the demographic. So in here, you have a lot of adults, your main one, and probably your adults bring their children. So then coming into your store, depending on what you're selling. And these are the engagement zone based on everyone who come into the store, and then the different zone. And then if you say if I want to look at just teenager, then so if only teenager, this is their engagement zone. So they are only they are specifically looking at this rather than the other thing. Yeah. The next one is your zone. Yeah, your heat map. So for example, here is okay, how many people are passing by, how many are engaged, how long they engage in all your different zones for those, your engagement rate, and if you have any event, product launch or a special discount, how does that impact that heat map? You can then further come into like engagement dashboard to look at the specific zone on there likewise. Now then, third one is that's your customer engagement. You can also look at if you have staff shopper interaction in the different zone and how long they stay there. I want to show you this one as well, where we can have it in 3D. So need to know how to move that, sorry, like this. So you can also mark all your furniture, your shelves and things, and you can then look around there. Now, what I could also do, I just need to know how to move it back. We can also filter. So for example, this is everyone. This is everybody. This is a heat map, and you can see that it's more popular at your Nike men's shoe, your New Balance women's shoe, your junior shoe. Yeah. But if you then want to go and look at, all right, let's choose just female and let's choose teenager, then where do they engage? And you would see that great deals. So they will go to great deals, women's shoe. Somehow they look at the kids' shoe. Don't know why. They don't pay too much attention to great deal women's. Maybe it's not trendy enough. They do go to the backpack, but majority is these two. Yeah. So then you can then see, which type of customer are more interested in what type. Now then their path. So now you know where they what kind of customer is interested in what and what are their path. So because we analyze every single person. We 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 do not have personal data, so we give in an ID. Yeah. So, but we recognize that. So even if you do not have, like for example, here you have a gap because of the re-ID, we can also we know we can pick up that's the same person. So from entrance, we follow the path of the person, how they move and all that. Then we can, because based on what product they've browsed, how long they browse on each product, then you can then give them a category. Are they a casual shopper? They were just looking, like spend equal amount at different product, or they're determined, they go in, they get that product, they pay, and they left. So That's a determined shopper. Indecisive, so they spend a lot of time in this zone, then that zone, then go back again. So on that. So you can then be able to then know your shopper profile and which store have different type of shopper profile and which hour, which day of the week, which hour of the day. Maybe you have more of this type of shopper, another time you have the other type of shopper. Then it then allow you to strategize how you're going to deal with this and make this shopper. So maybe you make your casual shopper more engaged with the product by going there to talk to them and say, oh, you want to look at that. A determined shopper, of course, you need to make sure your tills, you don't have a long queue because then they might abandon cart, and so forth. Yeah. And decisive, of course, you then need to go and help them up to choose. Yeah. And then now you have all those data points, then you can come into AI simulations. So what AI simulation is like is, sorry, I forgot. I need to mention this one as well, like the product engagement. So based on if you have different events, so you can then look at from product engagement to sales conversion. So for example, your passerby, your customer engagement rate, your total sales and engagement to sales conversion. So for example, this is when you have an event, you have a new product launch at the tablet zone. So then you increase passerby because maybe product launch, Samsung would have done all the advertisements. So it's drawing more people into your store because you sell your electronic shop. Yeah. So a lot of people come in, they do engage because you probably have a lot of things show for them to look at it and try it out. And then it dwindled down and so forth. But the sales has increased because people are aware of it, although the engagement has gone down, but the sales still increase because people need some time to decide. And then you go and done a placement reorganization, you move it to another place, and that have a sharp drop. That was not a good move. So you now realize your reduction in sales, it was because you have moved the table. And then it goes on for that, and then until you have a special discount on the phone zone, and then it kind of like increases the sales again, although the engagement did not go up. So these are the things that where you're combining everything, then you can get a lot more insights. Now, with all these insights now, with all those data points that you have collected for months, now you can go and do a simulation. So a simulation is say, okay, if I'm going to do product placement plan A, might have a lot of plan A, B, C, right? How best if I do plan A, what is the impact on my engagement level, and what is the impact on the profile on different way? What would be the engagement on the different product code? And also like the product code group summary, because your plan A, you might have not changed the men's footwear display. You might just reposition the footwear in the women's wear, and you move the exclusive collection to the entrance and so forth. You might only just make a few changes, and what is the impact on there? So on the total traffic, on the engagement rate. So maybe plan A is quite good. The places that where you move is actually going to have a positive impact on. Then you can then obviously test it with plan B, test it with plan C. So you can have this simulation, test it with that before you go in, because it's very costly when you do your layout. You can obviously have store ABC or doing different things. And what good about this is a simulation. You have a simulation result. You then go and execute it on your store. You make that changes accordingly, and then you are recording the data as well. So that data is become your ground truth, can then come back here to validate whether these simulations was accurate. If it's not accurate, AI is going to learn based on the actual outcome so that it will improve the simulation in the future. So that's the power of AI, is the continuous learning on there. Yeah. So the next thing is then now we have actually a workspace for you to train your local AI model. You can, of course, use a generic AI model. It will still give you quite a lot of information and insight, but it's not that accurate until you train it your local. So we can so this is an annotation workspace. So what you could do is you can go in there, a short video, you're able to then deeply interrogate it. Which one is not accurate? You annotate more. The more you annotate, this is all going to feed back to train your local model. So your AI's journey will start here. Yeah, this is constantly review the AI model. It will also alert you. So because you need data and you need them accurate, then you can then train your AI model that way. Now, so what's next? So if you have a floor plan, you can send it to us. We can help you design. Of course, these are all obligation free. We can quote you maybe one store, maybe 3 stores if you want to do that. So you can have a feel of how much it will cost for you to get all this, what metrics you can get, what kind of data points you can get, what kind of AI simulation you can get specific for your business. So we'll help you to do your product selection, your cost estimation, and the business functions evaluation. Yeah. So it's probably worth you to have a trial in one of the store. It's for example, if you use our Pro 2 and Pro 1 combo, is under $1,000. It's worth to test it out. It's worth to test this out to not only just to see if it's accurate, to see if it brings the business functions, it's to also test to see if you're ready. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe if this functions, you need it later, you can decide later. But with that price, it now make it affordable to try to test, and it's too worthwhile to test. Yeah. So you probably want to do a due diligence test as well before you show it to your top management. Is seeing is believing, because when you can actually see that, because when you first, it's probably difficult to ask your top management for a budget to do in-store analytics, for example, because they are not seeing what can come in. So if you do a trial on just the one store, you get all this. And even at the end of the day, you have decided you don't want in-store analytics, you have the one store that can give you day in, day out all this information. Even with that one store, you can do a lot of AI simulation for all your other stores that are similar to these stores. Yeah. So it's very worthwhile on there. A lot of our retailers, they are looking for same kind of data set to train their AI model. So this setup is very useful, very helpful. Now, in the upcoming workshop, we're going to do a lot, because a lot of people are asking which type should I choose? So do I use a Centroid with CCTV, or do I use a Pro 2 with Pro 1 combination? The idea of it is that it's very flexible. So you can choose and mix your pick. So the next webinar, we're going to talk further on this. We're going to talk more about Centroid, because I haven't touched more on there, and how do you choose in between on there. We have also have other webinar coming up more now, where you have all the data point, the actual AI insights that you can get from there. And then we're going to go through the RFP and RFQ, and then the BAU, where you go to business as usual, the support and maintenance best practice. So we're going to share all that, all those processes as well. Okay, thank you. So we now move to the Q&A.
Thank you, Dr. Melissa, for the insightful presentation. We covered a lot of interesting points today, and I'm sure the audience has a lot of questions. I can see we've already received some great questions. So yeah, we'll move on to the Q&A section now.
Good, thank you. Yeah, I'm getting some questions in. So first question, my store is about 5,000 square feet. How many devices do I need? So for 2,500, like just now, so this is like double the size. So I think you just need 2 sets of it. So 2 Pro 2 and 3 Pro 6, 6 Pro 1, 2 Pro 2 and 6 Pro 1. I think that's sufficient. It obviously depending on the layout. So we can do a floor plan layout for you. So that's going to cover from the entrance to the entire in-store area. So our team can help you with that. And the rough cost estimation would be the 2 set around roughly about 2,000 US dollar. But if you have CCTV on there, then you may not need the 2 set. You might just need a Centroid. Then it could even be cheaper. Yeah. Second question. I run a large department store, but full coverage isn't practical. I understand when you're a very, very big store and you may not need it. I want to monitor specific strategic areas like the cosmetic and the promotion zone, or what is the best approach? This is a very common setup. So indeed, you do not need to blanket cover your whole store. So even though now is very economical, still maybe you do not need to do that. We do recommend targeted deployment. So placing devices where you want to measure on there. And so you can monitor dwell time conversion, like engagement and all that. It can still offer you very cost-effective insight without the full store coverage. And with the re-identification, we can, because we say you don't need to have camera view stitching together now. So because with the re-ID, you can have blind spot on there. Now, it can be achieved by the Pro 2 Pro 1 combo or the Centroid if you have CCTV. And normally, department store have high ceiling. So high ceiling is even better because then it can give you a very wide coverage with just the one device. Yeah. Now, a third question. I have a double-story store, and I want to know which zone and which floor the visitors go. I heard Pro 1 and Pro 2 combination might help. Would that be a cost-effective solution for my case? Yes. So you can combine Pro 1 and Pro 2. It's ideal. So Pro 2 at the entrance and a Pro 1 at the staircase or, staircases going up the different floor, the escalator going up the different floor. Depending on your size, and you can also have Pro 1 at the till. So then you can see how many people come in, how many people go up to the different floor, how many people go to the tills. Yeah, so you can have a like this without having to blanket cover the whole store. For that, of course, then if a Centroid, if you have CCTV, the Centroid can help to provide a bigger coverage. But the Pro 2 Pro 1 can do as well. You can have 2 sets, 3 sets if you need. Even if your 3 sets is then going to be 3 Pro 2 and 9 Pro 1, that is 12 devices. My math's not good. 12 devices at $3,000. So it's very economical. Yeah. Okay, next question. I already have existing CCTV infrastructure, but it's a bit old, around 12 cameras. So maybe you have the older, like not recent, as in not within the last 3 years or so, like maybe older. So should I go for Pro 1, Pro 2, or a Centroid? Now it depends. Now, if your CCTV is still functional, then why not? And you maybe if you think it's old because it's the old DVR or the analog type of system, but your cameras are still functional and you're already thinking of changing that box, then why not upgrade it with the Centroid? Because you have the budget to change your DVR or NVR, then change it to Centroid. So you still have a CCTV function. And in addition, you have all this in-store analytic with all the CCTV camera you have. Now, of course, then you can show us. Ideally, I would say, show us your camera view. We can then judge and tell you whether or not they are pointing to the right direction. Are they clear enough? Ideally, they are a high quality camera. If not, if they're not ideal, then we can tell you then maybe you will need a Pro 2 Pro 1 combination. Yeah, so we can advise on that. Now, next question. How do you validate the accuracy of demographic data like the age and gender? Now, we do manually annotate sample footage to benchmark the results. So this is called machine learning. So you do need to teach the machine how do they recognize age and gender. So we teach it until, well, obviously we train it and then we validate it. Yeah. So only until when the model achieve 90% in the local condition. So this is very important. Now, when you take a generic model, then it's going to be a global one. So it may not fit your local thing. For example, the local, like for example, in Middle East, you have the gentleman would wear the Arab will wear headband and a tunic they call the top. So you need to recognize that that's a male, and female, of course, then they have their own attire. And also, if you are measuring at a comic fair, you have people coming in the costume, their attire. And also at different region, different countries, you have different darker skin ethnicity. So you need to train that into a local model. You need to customize that. So this is very important. And we do have the workspace, as I show you there, where you can actually fine tune your local model. So we want to fine tune it unto to at least 90% accuracy before we actually activate it for commercial use. So we will train, and AI is like this. The more it learns, the more it becomes accurate. So if you say AI is not accurate, it's because you have abandoned it earlier on. You didn't train it enough. So as long as you train it enough, it will become accurate. It's just how much effort you're going to put in. Yeah. So we will put in the effort until it's 90% before we actually use it. At your store. Then of course, then throughout the time as you're using at your store, then it can then again further increase the accuracy. So the age and gender with any AI is the more you use it, the more it become accurate and further improve accuracy. And the good thing about this is all GDPR compliance. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Melissa, for the wonderful presentation. Thank you for joining the workshop today, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.